Welcome back, everybody. Oh, I've made a terrible error. Pardon me here. We've got a... There we go. We have to stay thematically correct. And in the theme of today, it is... it's a quick view, but it's not. It's an installment of, and it came from the Workbench series, but it's not. It is the fulfillment and culmination of an idea that popped into my head during Livestream 1, which was this gentleman right here, who is fitted with a set of tires that I haven't tested yet. I'm just doing a thing where I move tires around. He's usually on 6 canyon trails. Sometimes he's on 6 deep woods. For the purposes of today and whatever becomes of today, he will be fitted with 2 Scorpios and 4 Proline flat irons because why not? Canyon soft. Feels like just a foam. It's a hair bun. Hair buns in the back. Yeah, Canyon softs in the front. Wild. Anyway, they're not entirely relevant. Ugh. Here's the big boy. Jolly Green, the TRX-6, who every time he's featured in a video, there's a guy that chimes in and is like, put more steering axles in it. Like, you know, make him a 6x6. The thing of that is there's really, I mean, it can be done. People have done it. But you're not going to get steering in this one. And this is the one that really needs steering. At least not on factory rails. You'd have to go full LCG and everything. And honestly, the capabilities of a 6x are such that I don't foresee me at any point LCGing this. I don't see the point. Like, if you want to build a competition 6x, start with that. Start with that idea. Go off rails and put axles under it. This is a TRX-6. There's basically nothing done to it except that we made bumper mounts and body mounts to fit 2 J-Concepts Lloyd bodies that are bolted together with 1,000,000 screws. So what you get is the positives of a 6x, which is you have more wheels in contact with the ground at all times. You just do. Because on this thing, on a nice big vertical climb, if one of the axles loses contact with the ground, the other one is in contact with the ground. And doing this, the doodle bug, going straight over backwards, you've got to get into the dumbest of dumbs to get that because you can't transfer weight like that through 2 axles. The exchange that you make is that this thing has a turning circle of exactly what you would think. This is an 18-inch ruler. Front, 4 to aft, so full wheelbase from front to end is 450 millimeters. And he is about 270 millimeters wide outside of tire to outside of tire. So it's like turning a ship. So incorporating 4-wheel steer into this would be what I would categorize as nightmarish. I don't want to do it. I think I could get steering on this axle, just put another front axle in the front, but you can't. This is a flipped axle. We could get there, but the increased complexity, and I think that you would really need them all to steer anyway. We want to get more steering, and we want to do it as cheaply and as labor non-intensively as possible. I have one rig that has a Traxxas branded underdrive gear in it. Daphne the Sport has a genuine Traxxas $40 underdrive gear in her rear axle. This guy is stock Traxxas, stock Traxxas, stock Traxxas. So he has no overdrive, no underdrive. He doesn't even have a 2-speed. I deleted the 2-speed from the gearbox. And then it occurred to me that I also had to do a hack bodge to get this guy to do both. It is not reliable. Sometimes it will unlock and then not relock, and you've got to kind of shimmy and jimmy with it. So I have been thinking for some time, perhaps just leaving the front locker in, spooling the middle and rear axle, but then still wanting more steering. So thankfully, one of my current and ever-growing favorites on Amazon, AMK Toy, professional RC car upgrades, they will sell you this for $27, which is an overdrive and an underdrive. I think it's an 833 and an 835. Well, there's no sense in not opening it at this point. We had to do that, like, reveal. Everybody loves an unboxing for some reason. I don't, because I have catcher's mitts, and ordinarily I just end up ripping these things open. So there's one. Here's the t'other. Yeah. 1233. 1035. We'll get the big button calculator. I can't do that kind of math. That's 2.75 in the overdrive. That's this one. So he goes up there. And then I can do that math. 3.5 back here. So 3.5. Wait, 2.5. That's 12%. Is that 12%? Is that 12%? Or is that 24%? That's 12%. 6 and 6. Yeah. So, the plan is just match it up. Put that back there. Put that up there. And I'm strongly considering, while I have this thing apart, I'm strongly considering deleting the lockers in the rear. You know what? I'm considering it now, while we're sitting here on the bench not doing anything. Instead of jumping off, oh, yeah, I definitely have it disabled. I think I have that channel turned off. I'll tell you right now. So, we can unlock the front, and it will relock. Oh no, it is on. Doesn't do anything. We can watch the servo transit if we. Okay, I got one unlocked, and I have it like a mnemonic device locked in, so that should be all four locked, and it is. And I think the problem is this little EcoPower 640 trying to push this with two linkages in it. This should be open out. So the front didn't even catch that time. Oh, well, because there's a wire hanging in it. Yeah. Front works great. Rear. Yeah. I can't get that middle axle. There we go. I would love to be able to unlock these. Now, will they lock? I don't know, maybe just put a more powerful servo. Anyway, before we get to that, what we need to do is, with this guy locked, which is how he spends 95% of his time, we need to just exhibit some turning. We just need to, I need to make a donut on the ground. I need to make a donut on the ground in a spot that I can make a donut right next to it, so that we can see. If we put an underdrive in the back, did I have them reversed? Oh God, don't do that. No, that's overdrive, that's the front, this is underdrive, this is the rear. So we'll make a circle, and then we'll put these two things in it. And you know what? We'll make 3 circles, or 4 circles. I'm going to have to find a nice clean spot of ground that doesn't have weeds growing in it. I want to see what he does in a circle. We'll unlock the whole thing, see what he does in a circle. Put these in, see what he does in a circle. And then we'll try to climb up some rocks, because I want more steering out of it. There's nothing else really that I want out of this rig. It's a blast. If you've never driven a 6x, you should, or a TRX6, or any other 6-wheel, the elusive, maybe it never existed, axial, give it a try. It is truly something else. So, let us go out there and basically make a circle in the dirt. And then I will go through the delightful process of installing those gears. And I say delightful because they're hooked up to lockers. I will show you a little bit of that. It's not super fun. I love a spool. But I also like lockers. They do work. They really do work. Okay. I'm not looking forward to how greasy I'm going to get to install these. But we can go make some... Oh, and then this guy will come in all dirty. Let's go get him dirty. Then we'll put gears in it. And we'll see. Overdrive, regular, underdrive. A cascade of different speed wheels. I think it's going to work. I hope it's going to. My goodness, it is bright out here. Right? It's not terrible. See how consistent the circles are. If we get in a little tighter, if we go lower throttle. No, it kind of gets wider. We're trying to wear it in. Yeah, he's definitely got a little concentric thing where we're just constantly getting wider. It's like a spirograph. Yeah, we're just constantly widening out there. So we are, and now let's see if we can do it without disturbing it. Go real gentle now. Okay, now we look at tightness the other way. Oh, does it seem tighter? No. Okay, so he's got a little wide out action. Is he gonna wide out the same way? Yeah, it kind of looks like it. But I think it's close enough. I was hoping that he would dig a deeper line in the dirt, because we can, if we get out of that. Yeah, that turn right there. Oh, I should have tested figure 8, honestly. Yeah, you can really get that rear end loose. So that is a turning circle that, okay, now remember, what was it, 450 millimeters was his wheelbase? So his turning circle is like 3 times his length. So he's got like a 6-foot turning circle. He's about 2 feet long. 6 feet is wicked big. Baseline turns around in about double his length. I would say 40 inches, maybe 1,000 millimeters, 100 centimeters. I want this thing to turn tighter. Oh, yes. Let's see. Okay, no. Go gentle. Don't mess up your lines. You don't want to mess up the lines. Oh, yeah, he's very soft on his feet. And now we try. Yeah, he basically has manual lockers. I have to do it manually. Okay, we'll start right at the edge of this one. Oh, okay, yeah. That is smaller. that is a good bit smaller. We'll go around it a couple times, and not as concentric, which makes sense. As a spooled gear, the outside tire is trying to rotate more quickly, so you're scrubbing. It's a little concentric, but not nearly as much. The thing is, I can't really shift in and out of this. I want to look, where is he? Okay, right there. I'm going to measure those 2 circles. This is at best an approximation, but his turning circle unlocked, so like what I would be executing right here, is 62 inches, 5 feet 2 inches in the metric system. I don't know, multiply that by 2.54 and you'll get it in centimeters. Big, and his full locked circle is 6'7", like 79 inches. That's huge. That basically means that full locked, if we could get him to lock, he wouldn't be able to turn around. Like, we'll see. This is fully unlocked. That opening is around 7 feet wide. Yeah, unlocked. We get around it without about a body width. And we'll see. You know what? We'll know if these lock if we can't make it. At least the front is definitely locked. We're here. I think that exhibits it even better than the circles. The unlocked gets you about a body width, about 270 millimeters, about 11 inches narrower. I would like locked at least down to that 5.2 circle. That's a lot of weight to put on the shoulders of $27 worth of gears. So like I said, I'm going to let you get a look at the fitment. Like, do they require shimming, any of that stuff? It's not a quick view, but it is. It's not, and it came from the workbench, but it is. I'm trying to drive and talk at the same time. Yeah, just meet me back inside. I apologize for the hum of the Charger fan. It was giving me a little be-doo, be-doo on the transmitter, which means that I've done that thing again, which I am going to correct off camera, and that is this. When you get an RC6, the receiver has an extra port for telemetry so it can show you your battery voltage. It's not critical, but it's kind of a nice thing to have. So what I do is I'm too lazy to pop this off and solder on a JST, like this one here. This is basically just a little splicer. They give you this little adapter. So here's what I do. I unplug, I'm supposed to unplug the battery from here, but apparently about 50% of the time I unplug this from here so that the battery telemetry is still plugged in to the receiver, which is what we call a small drain, and then it just continues that small drain as Jolly Green sits there undriven for, you know, a month or two at a time. And then next thing you know, my battery's at like 11.5 volts, which is where we find ourselves today. This transmitter battery is also not at the highest possible voltage. So the beauty of this is that we at no point are we going to need to interfere with the middle axle. Getting to the middle axle is far less fun because it's got the double third member, but we just have to get to the rear axle. You take off your tires, you get to be exceptionally lazy, and by you I mean me. We get to, what is that? You get to experience a high level of laziness because you spend the money on tools. Ball end MIP with the big extension on it, which allows us the absolute, oh great, oh boy howdy, a jackhammer, my favorite. It allows us to get to the screws to take the diff covers off without having to disassemble anything else. I put off in my life too long buying the MIP ball ends. You just need a 2 and a 2.5. So you take out those 4, you take out 2 on each side, you get your portal boxes out. I like to do a little thing, this is just me. I like to even out the wear, like flipping the cogs on a bike. So this guy is all absolutely power crusted on the front. So when we put it back together, we're gonna put him back over here. That way all those gears are rotating the opposite direction of the way they used to rotate before. And hopefully we can eke a bit more life out of them. Yeah, still get a good amount of grease in there. They still feel nice. It's still pretty quiet. Now, this is attached to a locker. These use cable lockers. So you gotta kinda get that linkage out of the way, and then we can pull this guy out. And then there is your locker unit, and that pin that is gone forever, that's how the locker works. For those who've never seen, that just engages in that's locked. When this slides over, it's open. And it is a gear diff. There's little gears inside. They're actually differentials. And as I said, they're very greasy. I now have to find that pin. And that pin is a very Traxxas pin. It's like a 3mm pin. Well, I mean, it's at the point where probably the easiest thing to possibly break. We will get a 1.5. Don't use power drivers on this stuff, everybody. Don't do it. Resist the temptation. I'm going to slide off all the bearings and stuff so that they don't get lost. Again, for those not familiar with a TRX4 diff, look at the look at the bearing on the locker side. That's a big boy. That's a big boy. Traxxas doesn't mess around. Look at the output bearing on that same side. Traxxas does not mess around when it comes to the bearings. And The actual diff housing is, thankfully, like nylon. So there is a smaller and a greater risk of stripping it out when you use the power driver that you're not supposed to use. And now when we pull this thing apart, you'll be able to see the, look at little babies. Little spider gears. Look at those little boys in there. So yeah, there's an actual, I think if we stick this boy in here, we can see the wait, get back. Get back. I had a good spin on them. They got to be loaded. There we go. Right. It's a good thing those are not under any sort of appreciable, like, actual load, because that is a small gear. Now, why I said that this doesn't fully qualify as a quick view is, I mean, it's not. If there's a TRX4 axle here, odds are it has one or both of these AMK gears in it. I think my Amazon purchase history is like, you've bought this 4 times, and I believe it. Jolly Green's innards have not been fooled with since we were exclusively on the Lucas Red and Tacky, which turns like, it looks like barbecue sauce as it breaks down. That lithium based, it's a lot less red and a lot more orange. It just looks like you've been eating ribs. And now we're pretty much exclusively the CV joint grease. Universe! I was like, I'm sorry about the fan noise from the charger. And then a guy with a jackhammer showed up. I've done it again. This is too much talking and not enough working. That little guy right there, this doesn't work without that little guy put in there. It's going to blur and then we'll be back. And here we have the rear locker assembled with all of the parts that are required. The worst part, not about this, but about the general environment of today, is that I know exactly what they're doing. They came and they ruined the road a couple months ago to replace the actual vault, the concrete portion around a manhole cover. And then when they do that, they do the world's worst job of backfilling. And these guys were no exception. They did the world's worst job of backfilling. So we've had a big square in the street that is lower than the rest of the street. And you get to hear all the people that are using the street as a shortcut not know that that's there. And then hit it at full speed and you just get to hear wham, wham of cars, because it goes asphalt, drops in about 3 inches, metal ring, then back up about 3 inches to asphalt again. So you just get to hear cars hitting it, and delivery trucks and buses and everything else. This guy is giving me the fight because the diff is in whatever's the opposite position. There we go. Okay, yeah, there's a locker mechanism. It basically just, when the cable pulls, this either pushes it, there's unlocked, and there's locked. I mean, it's really genius, and they do work well, and the weakness of it, if there is a weakness of it, and I believe there is that it's being installed by an idiot who's trying to talk and do it at the same time. It's not going to work without this. I can't believe I got that in there. Like, that shouldn't fit. Oh, there's going to be a blur again. And and when we come back, you'll get to see these are really very, very close in terms of the machining. And none of the AMK gears to me appear to be cast. The stock Traxxas gear is definitely a molded / sintered gear, and I've never broken one of these. So I don't really have any worry about breaking the AMK stuff either. But we get to do it all again a couple times, because I felt like things were flying along. And I was like, oh yeah, right. We got to change out a pinion too. I've done this before on Air 44s all the time, because the underdrive pinion and the regular pinion look exactly the same. These are. We actually, instead of going to a straight cut, we've got a helical. And I've never been in a position, and I've installed, as I said, quite a number of these, which is why I didn't even need to blur, which is why I don't think we're eligible for quick view status, because this would be more of a long view. These have been in service for a while. I've never had to shim one. So the fitment is apparently pretty good. Okay, one thing to be thankful for today. Ignoring the fact that I keep forgetting to put parts in correctly, the fact that we get our buddy the jackhammer, who's probably going to be louder outside, and the fact that the fan is buzzing away. I noticed the pinion out of the corner of my eye before I got fresh grease on it. Otherwise, I'd be getting greasier than ever. And we definitely did better at that, but we did not do better at that, because what we did, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't start off having a day, but I'm having a day now. The linkage arm, which attaches to this, is a little hook, and it popped off. So now there's 100% going to be a blur. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to meet you back again when we're doing the front. Honestly, I just wanted to pop back in for a second in between blurs. Here we are for a second in between blurs, with the front cover off, and as you can see, it's the exact same differential, front and rear. Just for whatever reason, the little linkage arm in the front is black and the one in the rear is gray. Other than that, it's all the same stuff. The difference is, on most vehicles, and the TRX-6 is certainly no exception, the front end takes way, way more of a beating. And this isn't an exception, this is the proof of the rule, that the front end takes way more of a beating than the rear, because we have the rear spread out between 4 tires. In the front, everything is capital F'd. The drag link is completely wallowed out in both ends. The balls are just flopping around. So I'm going to have to disconnect that guy and remove that, and which could also, we have been messing with the steering, how we had the little concentric circles. The kingpin on both, not as bad on this side, but on this side at the top, the kingpin has about 1 millimeter of movement. Like that the bushing in there is either gone or worn or cracked or something. So, and also this is metal on metal on metal, so we're going to have to get through thread lock to get those off. Yeah, it is. It is less than optimal. So, I'm going to have to leave you for a blur, because I will install this. I will get it put. Oh, we've made an executive decision. Executive decision number 1 is the charger is finished with the battery, so we can unplug it so it will stop beeping. That's what I like about that Genzace. You just unplug the battery and then you're done. You don't have to like click end or anything. I'm going to get that installed. We have made an executive decision. I just set a bag down. We're going to pass on. We're going to exchange weight. This is, I think it was an Injora, and when they come, they're huge. I've ground this one down a bunch on the belt sander in order to get it to clear the tie rod. We are going to exchange it in fit. We're going to exchange weight for Mojo. There's definitely a weight differential here, but we're going to put Daphne's skull plate on the front of Jolly Green. Jolly Green will carry that Mojo with him, and hopefully it will bring him good fortune. I'm the guy that needs good fortune, because I keep, look at, it's not a little, it's a lot. When I first pulled the wheel off, I was like, oh man, please just let it be the fact that like maybe the servo screw has come loose or something. No. Basically, all of the rod ends in the front end are just blown to smithereens. So I'm just going to replace both of those. I could try just putting a bigger, how's our front upper look? No, front upper's rock solid. Shocks look good, shock ends look good. But I got to pull this whole axle apart, and none of y'all need to be here for that. Let's just put it like that. So, getting the diff out. To get the diff out, you got to drop the knuckles and everything. Anyway, so there'll be a blur, and we'll be back at it, and maybe the jackhammer dudes will be going. Maybe they won't. I don't know. We'll find out. We have a long running phrase here, which is, and then it turned into a thing. And this most certainly turned into a thing, as I had to replace every rod end in the front of the vehicle. They were all completely blown out. I took the ones on the Draglink, which started as 5.7 millimeter. I tried 5.8, 5.9, 6.0. They were still wibbly wobbly. This is the Hot Racing tie rod for TRX4, which really helps because it stops you from, like, you can see the offset on it. A normal TRX4 one is just straight, so it just hits the cover. If you've replaced the plastic cover with anything, it kind of nestles in above the plastic cover, but it will hit any cover that isn't the stock cover. The problem is it uses alloy ends, and then the hollow ball is held in place with 2 O-rings. So it's pretty tight, but we still have this. And it's the play right in here. I replaced the kingpins back to stock Traxxas kingpins, as the hole in the C-hub is exactly 5 millimeters, and the bushings that were in there, I thought I had one that had gotten loose, they are 4.9. So 0.1 millimeters doesn't seem like a lot, but it's additive slop. Like, here's our total amount of movement now. It's about the same amount of movement we get out of the rear wheels. So the Traxxas are 5.97 millimeters, to the point that without the introduction of our good buddy Dry Slide, the front end would go squeak, squeak every time you turned it. I used mostly different guts. Daphne's cover is there. I used mostly different guts for the front diff because I have that. When I said that there's a lot of AMK gears here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like 9 in here, and I think I have some that went through the parts cleaner. So we probably have about 10 stock gears, like what's in the middle gear here. Everything has now been loaded up with grease. He's not as loud as usual, and when I go real low speed with him on the wooden floor in here, I can hear the additional speed in the front end. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, are we going to see the exact same turning circle? It might be so small of a difference that it's indistinguishable. I don't know. I don't anticipate this thing turning in a foot tighter. The 640T simply does not have enough power to push 2 linkages. So it locks real easy because it's pulling to lock, but it has to push to unlock, and it doesn't have the juice. I feel like it needs like a full-size servo in there to pull on those 2 things. I don't know. I don't know if it's something that I want to futz with. Do I want to deal with, I mean, I could move the receiver over here. I could put 2 half heights, or there's plenty of real estate. I could put 2 full-size servos over here to do the locker duties. But, like, do I like lockers that much? Or do I just want to machine a ring and just lock maybe leave the front end and just lock the back 2 diffs and just leave them locked? I don't know. I don't want to come to that decision right now. The guys, it was enough messing with the front end that the jackhammer crew is probably at lunch now. So, we will hope that the sun has not yet completely dried out the little... I mean, but I measured it. Thank God for the tape measure. We've measured it. We were looking at 5'2", and damn near 7 feet for turning circles. If we can get right in between that, how about sub 6 foot? Sub 6 foot locked would, after, at this point, where the, like, grease is in me. I'm gray now. If we were sub 6 foot locked, I would consider that a victory on the day. I don't know what I want to do. I want to drive this around. I kind of like the look of this combo. I don't know. It sort of suits him. Anyway, we're gonna do some circles, and then I'll be gummed if we don't drive around on a little bit of rocks. And and then we will call it it's still morning. It's not noon yet. So we'll call it a morning. I mean, it's an afternoon for you guys. We'll call it a day. How's that? Day encompasses all of it. So I'm going to say this, not just because I feel I have to say it for purposes of clarity, but it feels different. It like he kind of slithers like a snake, because between the front axle and the mid axle we only have overdrive, and between the mid axle and the rear axle we only have underdrive. So we have 3 axles all moving at different speeds, which is something that I have not encountered before. You can get a differential in speed between 2 axles if you're running like a big overdrive, or a big, like a 30% underdrive or a 35% overdrive. But okay, we'll go right on the edge of that. Okay, get right there. All right, I can see the outside edges of that. Before I burn that in, for a moment, I was like, oh, we failed entirely. 5'8" is the circle. And we were 5'2" unlocked. And like nearly, what was it? 79 inches? 6'7"? So 5'8" is great. That took a foot off of his circle. So like here's the circle from unlocked. Oh, you give it a little more throttle, you get a little more scrub out of the rear end, we get even tighter. Then we can just, it definitely feels different. Well, on flat ground, it feels different. His steering, okay, this, we'll never know. We have no ability to know. We live in the mystery zone now. How much of this was the replacement of all the rod ends and hollow balls in the front to stuff that's not slopping around all over the place, which also made me double check. And then the kingpins also aren't slopping now. His front end is super responsive now. That little turn right there, that's the best he's ever felt. Now, how much of that is the rod ends and how much of that is overdrive, underdrive? There's no way to find out. We can never know. This is something that is cumulative. But what we can do is we can test it in something a little more empirical, where it doesn't matter. Turning circle on flat ground doesn't matter. If I hit some spots that we know, I should be able to dig into the data banks, into the memory of what this feels like, and be able to say, yeah, this is better or this is worse. I think I want to start on side hill. I think we're going to start on side hill. This is unabashedly my favorite kind of episode, my favorite kind of installment, because this is something that I would be doing anyway. And for many, many years, I would find no reason to, what is the word I'm looking for? Not record, to, well, let's just go with record. My brain, I don't know, maybe I need calories. To document it. There's we go. I would find no reason to document this because it either works or it doesn't. And I think that was doing a disservice even potentially to myself, just being selfish, as then I don't remember any of the stuff that went on in between. So if nothing else, this is a historical document for me. We're just not going to lift. Angry caterpillar. It definitely turns sharper. Like, it is more responsive now. Will this swing all the way out of frame, or can it turn in frame? He's going to stay pretty much in. because this is more valuable to me. I want to hit dig right there so bad. The ability to turn around on flat ground it's telling, but I don't know if it's indicative of performance as a whole. Swing it around. Now what I'm trying to look at is like total drive. Has total drive been impacted? Positively or negatively? Let's just go in high. One-hander. We managed to find a spot that we can actually do. Woohoo! That we can actually do it. How about we don't rock crawl it? How about we? Yeah, he's a man of no emotion. He is tough to upset. So if I had a worry or a classifiable concern, it would have been this. I've mentioned that the strength of the 6x6 is just another axle. But at any given moment, like right here, this is a perfect 6x moment. The rear axle, now imagine we have a comically long wheelbase, but we don't have that mid axle. When that rear axle moves a little bit further forward, it's going to drop into the hole that is right now occupied by the mid axle. But it can't do that because as it pushes forward, the mid axle is now biting higher. Get a little side motion. Get a little side motion. Well, maybe flat iron ain't the ticket. Because that was the weakness of the 6x. In this position right here, see if we can reproduce it. There we are. The mid axle can't get enough pressure to generate that forward drive, and the rear axle is just hanging out in the open. So the rear axle, which is underdriven, can't bite for us. And then the mid axle, which in this situation either needs to be spinning faster than it is or slower than it is. And my thought is that it's faster because if we get right here, we get hoppity pop. But I give it a little bit of we go, yep, give it a little whop. Yes, he needs to be going a little bit quicker. So it is a net sum positive, but it's not a we're suddenly magically better at everything all the time, because this is all compromise. Every tuning choice we make is compromise. We're going to sacrifice something for something else. And if we sacrificed a little bit of raw forward drive, I am willing to accept that because we have 6 wheels. What I needed was more steering response, and I feel like we got that. Come across here. See, mid-axle was not touching there. I want that mid-axle to help it. There we go. We get it pushed. Then we'll try the swing here. It was not elegant. It was not elegant. And just remember, that's like 12 pounds falling down. So I'm noticing, well, what we've done here is I was pretty happy with the flat iron Scorpion combo. Scorpio. I think we're going to hang with the Scorpios. But we're going to have to grab another 4-set quartet for the rear. I think the flat irons, with the speed differential in between the two of them, so both of the flat irons are moving slower than the Scorpios. And I don't think it's working. The Scorpio is a tire that likes a little bit more wheel speed. I need a tire for the rear axles that likes a little bit of something in the middle. And don't think that I haven't thought, like, what else do we have in pairs? Am I throwing a pair of something in the middle and a pair of tusks in the rear, or a pair of holds in the rear? And just, the reason that this selection of tires is on here is I have a pair of Scorpios that are not in service. So they are in service now. It might be, I'm going to keep doing that and keep falling off until I can modulate that front end. Yeah, that little, we saw it wave back. It waved back to the left. That's the flat iron, because the front tires weren't doing anything. So the mid and the rear axle really need to cooperate. Okay, coming across right here. It's when that front tire drops off right there. Is it sidewall fold? Take the steering out. Now we're augered in. Yeah, it's a lot of bite. The flat iron is not the perfect tire for the application that I've created, which was a different application from when I was out here with him last time. This is the cascade effect. This is what we do. This is what we're bringing on to ourselves, and I speak in the terms of the royal we, which is you make a change, and that change radiates out. It is a stone in a pond, where it is exceedingly rare that you make one change net some good. Usually you've sacrificed something. And we've given up forward drive, and I don't think we have to. I think we can claim most, if not all, of that forward drive back. Because what I will say for sure is that navigating between obstacles, like his drivability, his overall drivability is improved. Sadly, I think that part of that improved drivability is now that the rear tires are no longer outdriving the front tires. So rear outdriving the front is going to provoke understeer. It's going to give you push, and that's going to make your turning circle bigger. Now the front tires are pulling the rear tire. I just punched the tripod. Because I was making a sweeping motion with my hand like that. The front tires are pulling the rear end around. So the rears, willing to be pulled, are not providing as much drive as they once were. We want to find the balance in between the two. I'm willing to sacrifice an amount of raw forward drive in exchange for the crisp steering response that we have now, but I don't want to give up as much steering response. I mean, as much forward drive as we have to net the steering. Like right there, we just brushed the fence, and if I had initiated turn in a moment sooner, I think we could have just powered through. Okay, let's take drive away from the front and see what we do. And we take drive away from the front by unlocking the front differential. So now the rears are having to do a lot more work. We should also turn in a lot more sharply. No, turned in about the same, because I have low confidence in the locking mechanisms right now. No, it's definitely unlocked. That was a much tighter turn in. So this is lending drive back to the rear axle. Yeah, I can see that front slipping. Oh, look at that. That's actually better. And this is the real problem that we're encountering, is that we can introduce and remove variables at will with the lockers. We can introduce variables by messing with the steering, by messing with the overall gear ratios, front, rear, and mid, by changing the tires, but any number, and it all radiates out. And at this point, so many rocks have been thrown into the pond at once that the ripples are all colliding with each other, and it's getting very blurry as to what is helping and what is hindering. Now, what I will say is, I don't actively feel the overdrive underdrive, and that's good, because that means they're just doing the thing. It's allowing me to look at the performance differential between the axles and the tires on those axles. Get a 6x6, everybody. It is a, if you leave it absolutely alone, you'll be like wowed with the, let me muddy that analogy with another analogy. I know it's a broken drum, it's a well-beaten horse, but it comes back to this. It comes back to cycling for me at the end. If you wanted to ride a bicycle 10 minutes a day for cardiovascular fitness, you can literally buy anything. Buy a bicycle and ride it. At 30 miles a day, which is about 90 minutes, 90 to 100 minutes a day, you will start to notice. You will start to be like, you know what? This doesn't fit me. That doesn't fit me. My body doesn't like this part. If you want to ride 100 miles, which is going to take 5 to 6 hours, then the tiniest little things suddenly become glaringly apparent and uncomfortable. So you have to make these tiny changes that you would never know you need to get to them unless you went to the distance to get to them. And a 6x6 is entirely the same thing. If you pick up the controller for your TRX4 Bronco or a Defender or whatever, and you drive it around for a few minutes, and then someone hands you the controller to a TRX6, you will say, my God, what have we done? Because you will point yourself at an obstacle and just monster your way over it. I keep forgetting that the front is unlocked. Does add a lot of steering. Is the secret just leave the front unlocked and run spools on the rear four tires? I don't know. Anyway, you will be like, wow. Then you'll go back to your TRX4 and you'll go, oh man, there's so much more drive in that thing, and the stability is wild, and on and on. And then if someone handed you the controller and you drove that 6x for an extended period of time, you would start to go, oy, the turning circle and the way that the mid-axle bites when the rear axle can't, and how sometimes no one would ever call the maneuvering and the handling of a 6x crisp or nimble. It is a sledgehammer. It is a massive weight bending other things to its will. So you start to notice for every strength you are rewarded with a weakness or punished with a weakness. And you have to learn how to balance those factors against one another. And that is certainly where we are here. Do I recommend the AM? Is that front unlocked? There's one way to find out for sure. Don't forget the analogies, but take away this. I guess the AMK gears, I guess if you have a TRX6, get the overdrive, underdrive pair and put them in there. Because it is, while still imperfect, we are still making sacrifices. It is a lot better because I can no longer get my front differential to unlock. I thought we were getting, like in this situation, I saw it go right there and I was like, that's too much drive. We can't be generating that much drive. That loaded tire would just be free spinning. So then this is great. It's not perfect, but it is great. And this is how we find out as a group. And the beauty of it is you get to find out without spending $27.99. But if you are a TRX6 owner, or hell, if you're a TRX4 owner, I recommend the $27.99. Put the 33 in the front and the 35 in the back. And if you're not doing all day trailing, you're going to notice an improvement. The steering response, it's kind of halfway between being locked and unlocked. 5.8 on a turning circle for a vehicle with a 450 millimeter wheelbase is almost 18 inches is pretty good. Pretty good. 18, 36, 54. Yeah, if we could get to 3 times the wheelbase, that would be the dream. And I think unlocked, that's probably right about where we would hit. Yeah. 4'4"? Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. I can't get them unlocked though. Which leads me more and more to be like, just take them out. Just get rid of the lockers. Spool him up. Because this is definitely usable. So pull the lockers. That's what I'm leaning. Well, I'm talking through this on my own. Pull the lockers. Sadly, I mean, I love the look of the flat irons on them. They're very tractor looking. I don't think they're the jam. It's something else. I got deep woods I can throw on. I could go full stupid. Let's throw some Injora comp pens on there. You know, something. So here, what I'll do, before I go about unscrewing a bunch of beadlocks, again, hey, all of you out there, any TRX6 owners, are you just running Do I do that? Do we just put Canyon RTs on it? I have 6 of them now. Any of y'all out there, TRX6 owners, are you running a mix? If you're running a mix, what are you running? Like, what seems to work? If you're running a TRX6, are you running overdrive, underdrive? Are you doing the 3 axles of different speeds? I need to know these things, because otherwise we're just going to experiment. We are going to, you know, the more you F around, the more you find out. And we'll just keep effing around until we find out. I'm getting the real hang of how he moves now. He moves different. And different good. And also now we're into third and fourth guessing territory at this point. Do the flat irons just need to wear in some? They need to wear in a little. Do they need an even softer insert than what they have? It's just too many variables, man. We know that the gears are working because we can go across like this, and if I turn in at the right spot, which wasn't there, was it? No. I don't hit the fence. We have not sacrificed a great deal in forward drive. We've sacrificed some, but give it a little beans and right up the face you are. I just, as anyone would say, I want more. I want more steering, and I want forward drive 2, fully knowing sitting here right now that's not how it works. You can have one or you can have the other. It's the total available grip. It's the circle of traction. And if you're giving traction to forward drive, you're taking it away from steering. And if you're giving it steering, you're taking it away from forward drive. We're trying to balance the sliders. I want this guy's sliders to be balanced. So we will continue to tinker. I can't guarantee that I will bring you along for other tinkerings and other musings and murmurings. But you never know. You never know. It's a great day. It's a great day to wheel. The sky is blue. The sun is bright. It's cold in the shade and hot in the sun. Jolly Green is jolly. I figured this was a good trade. He got Daphne's diff cover, and Daphne has his old drive shafts, his old MIP drive shafts. So it's a nice trade. His steering feels so much better that the lazier part of me, which is the dominant part, let's not lie about it, is like, just put him back on his slider, man. Just slide him into his garage and call it a day. And the other part of me is like, there's a back tire that we haven't. I mean, I could just bolt the 4 Canyon RTs on there. Maybe I should do that. Something is telling me there's a back tire that maybe we haven't tried yet that is the back 4 need to be something else. So we'll find out. We'll find out and we'll figure it out. Because eventually, inevitably, we always do. We'll get there by hook or by crook. And we'll do one more arch here across the top. We'll make a left-hand turn. We'll do this. And then we'll make a left-hand turn. See, I want that just a little crispier. Just a little crispier. And we will see you on the flip-flop. We will welcome you back with open arms. We look forward to seeing you again in the future. In between now and then, please, one and all, do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. We will catch you next time here from the Canyon. If there's anything you'd like to comment upon TRX6 or anything other related, drop that in the comments below. We love the comments. I read them all. See you next time, everybody. Me and Jolly Green, we're going to, I don't know, probably eat something. I think we're both in a caloric deficit at this point. No, his batteries are like 12 volts. He's good. I'm hungry. I'll see you next time. We'll see you next time. Someone will see you next time.